Now available for the first time in paperback. Stop Simping in the Workplace. Men, learn what you need to know in order to protect your job from workplace predators with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available in paperback at online booksellers everywhere. Police in Thurmont, Maryland may have prevented a possible mass shooting incident when they went to arrest a 19-year-old murder suspect. Now, in Thurmont, Maryland, police arrested 19-year-old Joshua David Eckenrode for the alleged murder of 19-year-old Curtis Mason Smith. And as the police were searching your Joshua David Eckenrode's home, they found a cache of weapons, a cache of bombs and bomb-making supplies, and they found notes detailing plans for a mass shooting. Now, when I take a critical examination of your Joshua David Eckenrode's alleged actions, they clearly fit within the pattern and profile I talk about regarding beta males in my book, The Man Crisis. And after hearing reports regarding Joshua David Eckenrode's background, he clearly fits that pattern and profile because he was coming from a divorced household where he was living with his father above a convenience store where his mother already had the home. So this boy had already come from a divorced household, and he possibly had a beta male father. So it's looking like he was one of these textbook beta males from his upbringing, and it also looks like he's one of these textbook beta males from the extremely dysfunctional behavior he was participating in. Because your Joshua David Eckenrode, he had problems with people disagreeing with him, which fits right in line with that pattern and profile of beta male behavior, because oftentimes your beta males, they have a hard time dealing with differing opinions and different viewpoints, and beta males oftentimes get extremely emotional and angry when people disagree with them. And in addition to that, when I listened to the point about him making these plans, that also fit within the pattern and profile for beta males, because oftentimes when beta males are angry about their lives, they come up with these plans to destroy other people's lives, and they'll go out here writing these manifestos or these plans to commit these types of violent mass shootings because these men feel like their lives have been destroyed. And I believe that this Joshua David Eckenrode probably felt like his life was falling apart because his parents had divorced, and because his parents had divorced, he felt like because his whole household situation had fallen apart, he wanted to go out here and destroy the lives of others. Because this is what happens with a lot of beta males. They get frustrated about their life situation, they get frustrated about the direction of their lives, and they go out here coming up with these grand plans that are part of their whole delusion to destroy other people's lives, and they come up with plans to act on those plans. However, tragically, what prevented this man from going out here and participating in that type of carnage was the fact that he wound up murdering one of his former classmates and wound up taking his life. Your 19-year-old Curtis Mason Smith was going to go try to do some sort of business with your Joshua David Eckenrode, and as a result, he wound up getting murdered. And after he was murdered, Eckenrode allegedly drove the vehicle with Smith's body into a abandoned barn and left it there, and then went on trying to clean up his evidence that he left in the driveway of his own home. So it's looking like, based on the evidence presented in reports, he murdered Curtis Mason Smith in his car, and then drove this boy up to this barn, after an abandoned barn, and left him there. and then went out here trying to clean up the evidence and trying to go on with his life. However, friends were looking for your Curtis Mason Smith, and as those friends looked for this boy and then found his body in the barn, they soon found the evidence that pointed to this Joshua David Eckenrode, and this was what led to his arrest. So these beta males, oftentimes, again, they live in a rose-colored reality, and they believe that they can just go out here, do this wrong, and then they're trying to find ways to get away with that wrong. However, in the real world, when people go out here and commit murders like this, what happens is those people soon start to put together a trail as related to the evidence, and they wind up arresting these individuals. But thank God people were able to put together all the pieces on this Joshua David Eckenrode before he could go out here and carry out his plans for mass murder and take the lives of more innocent people. But when I look at this whole situation, again, it shows me how extremely dangerous these beta males are, and how these ticking time bombs can practically go out here and do so much damage to the lives of so many people all across this country. And it shows me again how these landmines are littered practically everywhere, because nobody really thought that this guy would go out here and be planning a mass shooting in that Maryland township. Nobody thought that this guy was going to do this. They knew hints that this guy had issues because of his parents' divorce. They knew that he had issues because he had issues with people disagreeing with him, but people really could not connect the dots as related to this Eckenrode being a ticking time bomb. But I could look at the patterns and see issues, again, as related to the divorce, issues as related to him having problems with disagreeing with people and holding grudges against people. These are all textbook beta male behaviors, and the whole idea of him going online and creating this persona known as White Josh, that really was another red flag to me, because having a username called White Josh means he might possibly be a racist or a white supremacist, and he was into going out here and looking to do harm in that way. That possibly could have been part of his plans for violence, but this is what happens with your beta males. And this is, again, coming right after 7 mass shootings in 7 days, having yet another individual participating in some sort of violence where they murder someone and possibly were making plans for another mass shooting. So we are sadly in a very, very dire situation as related to this man crisis going on here in America. And what's really scary is we've got millions of these ticking time bombs all around us, and it's not a matter of if they go off, it's a matter of when, and it's a matter of how much damage they will do when they go off. In this case, this man murdered an individual, and he did damage to that person's life and the life of the family and friends there, but thankfully he did not go out here and implement his plans to do even more harm to others. So it's a very scary time out here, and most people don't know why we're seeing this uptick in violence, because the media will only report on the mass shootings or possible planned mass shootings, but all of these mass shootings have a root in the way we are raising boys here in America. And because we are raising boys in an extremely dysfunctional fashion, we have a bumper crop of 2 to 3 generations and millions of these beta males out here. And again, what is really scary is it's not a matter of if they go off and do harm, it's a matter of when they go off, because many of these males are simmering and boiling in anger, and it's just a matter of time before they wind up exploding in a rage, where they participate in a spectrum of violent behaviors. But most people in our society, they are not really focused on the dysfunctional way we are raising boys to become men, and these men not getting the life skills that they're going to need to survive in the world. And because these boys are not getting the life skills they need to survive in the world, they're looking to go out here and destroy the world because they don't know how to function in that world. A lot of these males, they are again stuck in a rose-colored reality where their mother and beta male fathers are practically coddling them, and they're not understanding how to deal with the real world or the consequences of the real world until they wind up running into the real world, and that's when they fall apart. And in this case of your Joshua David Eckenrode, he's going to be running into the real world once he enters the state penitentiary system, and for if he's convicted of this crime, and those offenders in there, Bubba, Tiny, Big Roger, go and turn that tight end into a wide receiver. Because a lot of these beta males, they try to play Mr. Big and Bad on the street, but once they wind up inside of the county jail and then the state penitentiary for the crimes that they have been planning or were possibly committing, these men wind up getting their hair braided in jail and traded and exchanged for bags of Fritos corn chips, Little Debbie fudge rounds, or whatever is offered in the prison commissary. And these guys are not understanding how they're putting themselves at risk for these things because they're so caught up in their rose-colored ideas of doing harm. They don't look at the big picture of what's coming to them, and that's one of the things that these beta males never think about because they are running primarily on their feelings, and because they're running on their feelings, they wind up participating in impulsive behaviors that are planned with malice of forethought, and then they have to deal with the consequences of those behaviors, which is them either winding up shot by the police, committing suicide, or winding up in prison, where again they're that tight end is turned into a wide receiver by Bubba, Tiny, and Big Roger. So a lot of these beta males never really think about anything because they're so busy being angry about things. And a lot of people are still, again, they're thinking that, oh, this is about a gun control issue. But your Eckenrode bought all of his weapons legally. And this, again, refutes the whole narrative about gun control because when you have beta males running amok, it's not about legislation to stop people from buying guns. The problem is the boy has not been raised to be a man, and he's not raised to be a man who knows how to navigate a world where he has to set a course for himself, set a direction for himself, and start working on goals to move himself forward. And because these males are so busy angry about issues as related to their home life, and issues as related to school, and issues as related to just life in general, many of these males, they don't understand that life is hard, life is pain, and you just have to suck it up because the world is rough and tough. But these guys don't really understand this, and because they don't understand it, they want to lash out and hurt other people who are innocent because they can't deal with setting a course for life, dealing with life's pain, and dealing with all the struggles in life. Because when you have, again, a beta male, he's just used to going out here and looking for somebody to nurture him and coddle him, but that's just not how the world works. And when they have to go out into the real world, these guys just fall completely apart. And in this case, this guy fell apart just a year after high school because he's 19 years old. So just a year or a couple of months after high school, this guy practically fell apart because he could not deal with the real world. He had to deal. He couldn't come out of that rose-colored reality. And what he wound up doing was murdering a classmate. And thank God, nobody else was harmed. But this guy was a textbook beta male, like I describe in my book, The Man Crisis. And this is another, again, ticking time bomb most people weren't paying attention to, because most people think that these guys, it's all about other issues that are just symptoms of the problem. They're thinking it's gun control. They're thinking it's other issues. But no, we have raised 2 to 3 generations of dysfunctional boys in a dysfunctional fashion, and now they're growing up to become extremely dangerous beta males who are getting ready to put the entire country in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about why beta males like this participate in violence and plan violence, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find it on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And this book has helped transform the lives of many men out here, and it can possibly help many men understand how the world works and possibly prevent a incident where somebody goes out here and does harm. So it's a very helpful book, and I'm hoping you go out here and pick it up, because it's going to be, again, a long, rough summer, and we have a lot of males in crisis out here, and they all desperately need some help. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can help me. You can donate to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.